Waking up in the morning sometimes can be tough as a type 1 diabetic. Let's be real, it's tough for a lot of people, but for a type 1 diabetic, you have to pay attention to a lot more than just what you're going to do that day. Because oftentimes you wake up and you see that your blood sugar has been trending in the upward direction already for a couple hours, or that you start to see a rise almost the second you wake up. Today we're going to talk about managing your morning blood sugars and what the difference is between dawn phenomenon and feet on the floor. If you like this video and you want some more tips about your type 1 diabetes and how to control it from my perspective and the way that I do it as a type 1 diabetic for the majority of my life, and by majority I mean 36 out of the 37 years I've been alive, hit the subscribe button, like and share this channel so that other people with type 1 can also get some information and we can just build this community around type 1 diabetes together. What is dawn phenomenon? Dawn phenomenon is something that happens in your body around 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. while you're still asleep. What it does is it tells your body to release cortisol and growth hormone to get you ready for waking up and get your body ready for the day. These hormones just help you throughout the day to give you the energy that you need to go and to get you prepared so that you can have the best day possible. Now, as a type 1 diabetic, what happens is when these hormones are released, your liver also produces glucose. And as we all know with type 1 diabetics, we don't produce our own insulin. So, in a person without diabetes, they would have the same thing happen, but their body produces insulin at the same time that levels out that blood sugar. We don't have that option as a type 1 diabetic. So, we have a rise in our blood sugar. This timeline is based on your internal clock. So, when you might be a shift worker and you wake up at, let's say, 5 o'clock in the evening because you have to be to work at 7 o'clock at night or whatever time it might be. Once you get on a schedule like that and your body is more used to that sleep schedule, your internal clock changes and dawn phenomenon will happen in the evening. It will happen in the middle of the night. It'll happen whenever it is that you wake up regularly. This is one of the reasons why, especially as a type 1 diabetic, having a sleep schedule is very important so that you can help to control these rises in blood sugar that you can do nothing about without knowing when they start. Later, we're going to talk about some ways that I manage mine and ways that you can help to manage yours as well. Now, what is feet on the floor? Well, it basically is exactly what it says. Your feet hit the floor, your blood sugar goes up. And really, it starts right when you wake up. When you wake up in the morning, especially as an adult, teenagers that might be in school or going through relationship things, kids, it happens to everybody at different ages. But really, what it is you wake up and your mind tells your body you have a lot to do today. So your body starts releasing these other hormones like stress hormone. It really releases adrenaline and more cortisol to get you going for the day. It tells your liver again to, hey, shoot some glucose out so that we have energy to go and we can get a jump start on the day. And we got to get going. Well, what does glucose do again? It makes your blood sugar spike. As type 1 diabetics, again, we have no natural insulin. So there's nothing that's already happening to fix that for us. So we have to do something about it ourselves. We'll talk about this again in a little bit and figure out exactly what the best ways to do this are. Before we talk about management for these two things, we're going to talk about just the key differences so that they're right fresh in our minds. Dawn phenomenon happens while you're sleeping. It's caused by natural hormones preparing you to wake up for the day, and blood sugars rise sometime between 2 and 8 o'clock in the morning before you wake up. Or again, like I said before, whenever your natural body clock says you're going to wake up in a couple of hours, we need to get this body ready to go. Feet on the floor happens after you wake up. So open eyes, feet on the floor. This is what's starting. Again, your body's waking up and you're getting ready to start your day. So your body shoots out the hormones that is needed to give you that jolt of energy because you haven't made it to the kitchen for your coffee yet. And again, it spikes your blood sugar shortly after you get out of bed. All right, now how can we manage these and how can we help to either slow or stop the spike that comes from them? There's a couple different ways to do it. Number one, when we're talking about dawn phenomenon, as long as you have a Dexcom or some sort of CGM, you will be able to look back at your blood sugars and see when this is happening. For me, using the Dexcom G6, I go back and I look at my AGP report for a 14-day period or a 30-day period. I've talked about this in the past in other videos. Or I just look back at my graph from the night before and I see, oh, look, I see a blood sugar rise coming and this is when it starts. The reason I like to use the AGP graphs for a 14-day or a 30-day period is because it shows me an average and it's not just like a one-off thing. It lets me know that it happens more often than not, or it happens a greater percentage of the time so that I know when it happens and when I can start adjusting my basal, which is what you should do. If you are on MDI, you might need to talk to your doctor about how to split your basal insulin or your long acting insulin at different times of the day so that you can have a greater effect in the middle of the night. If you're on a pump and you're on an algorithm, so with the Omnipod pump, you won't be able to adjust your basal, but there's resources out there that will help you in this. For me, I'm going to talk more specifically about the Tandem or Omnipod if you're not on manual mode or if you're not on automated mode, because you can make those basal adjustments at different times of the day. For me, when I noticed that I was having dawn phenomenon and it would hit me around 3 a.m., I went back in my pump and at about 1:30 in the morning, I increased my basal because basal insulin is for later. So you go through and I raised my basal and then I checked it the next morning and I saw what happened with that dawn phenomenon and I saw that it made a difference. And you can do the same thing with your basal insulin. Talk to your doctor. If you're uncomfortable doing it yourself, remember that none of this is medical advice. I'm just telling you what I did to fix mine, okay? Definitely consult your doctor if you are unsure about when and how to make these changes. Another option, another way that you can do this, and this works if you're type 2 diabetic, if you're type 1 diabetic, is to have a healthy bedtime snack. What this will do is it will help to avoid some of those drops or spikes throughout the night that then and this will work no matter what system you're on, because what it will do is it will help your basal insulin just keep you steady. And if your blood sugar starts spiking and your basal has to start kicking in higher because you're on an algorithm, then you might see a spike and then it cuts your basal and then it's going to start rising just like it happens when those kinds of things happen. So the more steady you can keep your blood sugar throughout the night, the easier it's going to be to have an effect on what is on the dawn phenomenon. Now, for managing feet on the floor, what I do, and this happens almost every single morning for me, I wake up, I look at my pump or I look at my CGM, whether it's on my pump or the Dexcom app on my phone, and I see what my blood sugar is at. If my blood sugar is over 100, I'm going to dose like a half of a unit. I just instantly put in half of a unit because that will kickstart the insulin and let me start to fight the spike that's about to come. Another great tip, and this is a tip for anybody waking up in the morning, is drink water right when you wake up. When you drink water when you wake up, it just helps things to flow through your system. And one of the things that needs help flowing through your system is your insulin. So drink water, practice stress reduction, things like that that will help you wake up and not feel as stressed will help to stop the rise from feet on the floor. All right, just a couple of final thoughts about dawn phenomenon and feet on the floor. Knowing what causes them should be the first step in helping you be able to manage them better. Now that we've talked about what it is that is going on in your body, you should be able to look at your CGM, monitor your blood sugars so that you know when to adjust your basal insulin or do insulin in the morning so that you can stop these spikes from happening. Making some of these small changes that we talked about today could make all the difference in the world. For me, when I noticed when the dawn phenomenon was happening and how to fight it and how to fight feet on the floor, it really helped me be able to better enjoy my morning coffee because I love waking up and drinking my coffee. And let's face it, other people like that too. And I would much rather be able to enjoy my coffee while watching my daughter play or talking to my wife or watching the news and just getting ready for my day than to have to fight a blood sugar that is climbing higher because higher blood sugars are harder to fight. If you guys are looking for a more detailed explanation about what these two things are, I'm going to link a couple of, or I'm going to put in the description of the video a couple of podcast episodes that you can listen to from the Juicebox podcast, where Scott talks about dawn phenomenon and feet on the floor with a CDE that is a regular guest on the podcast who is just amazing at describing what is happening and other ways that you might be able to fix the problems. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Thanks. Bye.